Hi, welcome to the Wisdom of Your Soul. I'm Janice Mary, your host. I'm so glad you're back with us. We have so much to talk about today. With the holiday season here, there's so much going on, and sometimes it can be a season that is so joyful and happy, and we can be filled with gratitude, or we can be like the Grinch, and we could be irritable and angry and, looking at our lives in negative ways. And so the soul has a lot to say to us about the holidays. And so I want to share what I feel from my soul and what I always hear from my soul when I start to get a little bit too wrapped up into the craziness of the holidays, like we all do. A lot of the clients that I see start to go right into beating themselves up after the holidays, whether they ate too much at Thanksgiving or, they were with family that were particularly maybe difficult on them. Or sometimes when we're with our family members, it can bring up our old feelings of inadequacies or insecurities. So a lot of times people don't make that connection that being with their families, unfortunately, can trigger that. It doesn't happen in every family, but if you notice after a family event, you feel sad or you feel down or you feel how you used to feel when you were in high school, then you've just gotten triggered back into, you've just gotten triggered back in time. And, that's something that happens to us all, whether it's from our families or other people in our lives that remind us of our families. That can happen. So it's really important for us to take note of that and not to buy into it so much, because when we do, we're really letting that ego mind take over. And if we want to kind of look at it, the ego mind can be like the Grinch, right? But we want to have the, the love and the spirit of giving like an angel, or Santa Claus, whatever. So we always have those two sides within us that we have to choose what we're going to live out on any given day. And in the holiday season, it can be even more challenging to choose the angel that sits next to you instead of the Grinch that is very critical and irritating and irritates you and then makes you feel irritated with other people. So the soul energy, when we go into that energy, you would just naturally feel the spirit of giving. You would naturally feel the spirit of abundance. And you would also naturally feel gratitude, because that's what's in the energy of our soul. We have that lovely thing of keeping a gratitude journal, and then that's great if you can get into that energy. But a lot of the people that I see have a very hard time even feeling grateful for anything. Their lives have been difficult, they're in a lot of pain, so feeling grateful or getting into that habit of writing things down that they're grateful for is very difficult. So sometimes we have to start with things that don't involve ourselves, that we're just grateful, to have air to breathe, or we're grateful to have a roof over our head, or we're, grateful for other things other than that's so connected to ourselves. Because sometimes we are so hard on ourselves and being so negative, there isn't anything that people sometimes can find that they're grateful about themselves or their lives. And when they're in that mindset, in that Grinch-like, mindset, it's very hard to find one thing that you're grateful for. And again, the soul doesn't beat us up for that. It just kind of realizes we've made a mistake. We've made a mistake in our perspective of how we're looking at ourselves. So, doing a gratitude journal, which I would highly recommend always, does get us into our soul energy. It is another way, just like many, many other ways, to get into that really good energy that's pretty easy. So if you started a gratitude journal, and again, you don't have to make it about you. You can just, I'm grateful for, beautiful flowers that surround me. I'm grateful for the air. Make it about something else that you're grateful for in your day, and don't make it about you if you can't handle that, because you don't want to look at yourself and then get frustrated again and then it kind of spins you out of control. So I would highly recommend, if you want to really experience your soul energy, is to keep a gratitude journal, because the feelings of gratitude is really what your soul energy does feel like. So that is something that all of us want to continue to do. So definitely start that journal. And if you find that you're having a hard time with it, if you find you can't, there isn't a lot you can feel grateful for, then ask for help. Ask for your soul to help you. Show me something that I'm grateful for, and your soul will help you. And as you ask, that energy, you're tapping more into that energy. So there's many ways we can get to our soul energy, and so these are just some of the ways. So if you start to do a gratitude journal and you're starting to feel more upset and more comparing to other people, then that would be the time to just stop and say, okay, this is not working. I can't do a gratitude journal for whatever reason. I don't feel grateful. When I'm in a bad mood, or, if my daughters are having a hard time, or if there's something going on in my life that has gotten me in a really bad place, for me to sit down and do a gratitude journal is going to be very, very difficult. So I understand when I ask my clients to do a gratitude journal and they're like, I can't do it. And that's completely understandable. But so there's the other way around it. If you can't tap into those gratitude feelings, if you can't tap into that by writing things down, or tapping into things that you feel grateful for, then you want to just stop and take a deep breath and ask your soul to come to you, to give you the feelings of gratitude without it being attached to anything. And once you start to feel those feelings of gratitude, then you'll be able to look around the world, and you'll be able to look at you with such a feeling of gratitude that you don't even have to write anything down. So it's just two different ways to get into our soul energy. One is asking to feel the soul energy and then to write down what you're grateful for. And the other one is to just start writing down what you're grateful for, and that brings you into the soul energy. So two different ways there. And so one way, if you're in a very good mood and you're really happy and things are going great, it's easy for you to keep a gratitude journal. So that keeps you in your soul energy. If you're not in a good place, then you want to ask to be brought into your soul energy, and that will help you. And again, it's the difference between living with the Grinch in us or living with the Christmas angel. And, we have to remind ourselves. And so today's talk is about reminding ourselves that there is a different perspective, that there is a different way that we can view ourselves and our lives that is much more loving and much, much more encouraging. So if you wanted to picture that, if you're a visual person, if today picture this angel beside you and then the Grinch beside you, and who do you want to listen to? I hope you choose the angel. What would the angel say to you today? What would the angel say about your life and about you and who you are? You're certainly going to hear nothing but loving and beautiful things about you and your life. And, we're not used to that. Wouldn't that be great if that's all we heard was the angel's beautiful song? But for some reason, we're very, very tied into this ego mind and the criticism of the ego. And again, the soul does not blame us for that, does not judge us for that. The soul just wants us to know that in our attempt to be independent and in our attempt to live this life a little disconnected from our spirit, we suffer. We suffer. So, you don't have to be a religious person to connect to your soul. You don't have to belong to any formal religion, or you don't have to believe in anything. All you really want to do is try, because you will start to feel the difference. After Thanksgiving and eating all that food and pies and candy, I was not feeling very good. And my ego right away would go into beating up mode. Well, you shouldn't have eaten this and you shouldn't have eaten that. And what's wrong with you? And blah, blah, blah. Like right away, my ego starts spinning out of control. And, as I'm starting to feel more agitated and more upset with myself, I feel a tug. I now feel this tug from the angel inside of me, or my soul, to say, wait, do you really want to go down that path? Do you really want to do that to yourself? Do you really want to beat yourself up? Or can you just enjoy Thanksgiving? Can you enjoy the food? And don't let the food, and don't let what happened over Thanksgiving now infect today, because it doesn't have to. It's over. You enjoyed yourself, you had a good time, and now it's time to just let it go and, just kind of get back on track, or eat what you want today. It doesn't matter. The soul, spirit, energy is not one of judgment of how we treat our bodies, because our soul is so aware that we're not a body. So our obsession with our bodies and how we feel and what we're doing to our bodies and how our bodies look is a real human thing. And that's not something that our soul ever has a problem with. So no matter what we're doing with our bodies, our soul is okay with, is never, ever judgmental. Because a lot of our distress really does come from our thinking. It doesn't really come from our eating or the size of our bodies or what we look like. That's not really where it's coming from. It's coming from our thoughts, which if you're having a lot of bad thoughts about your body, that is going to affect you. And it's going to be very time consuming, and it's going to take you away from the things that you love to do. So if you're, upset about your body, or you're upset about how you look, or you're upset that you ate too much, or, whatever is going on for you, then that takes away from your time to, maybe draw a beautiful picture, or read a book that you would like to read, or watch a Netflix show. The soul wants us to get back into our life instead of observing our life. Or, our soul wants us to leave the editor that lives within us. Everything that we do, we edit, or that we criticize, or we have a comment, or we evaluate every single thing that we do. And this is very much in the center of my mind right now, because when I see my clients, I can see that's exactly what they're doing to themselves, giving themselves a hard time for just being, and it's hard. It's really hard to help people, not be so hard on themselves, to not be so critical, and to just leave themselves alone, and to give them a different perspective. So when I'm in session with my clients, I really do try to engage my soul energy, so that when I'm sitting with people, I have the angel sitting next to me and not the Grinch. If I have the Grinch sitting next to me, that's not going to be a very good therapist, and I'm not going to be very helpful. Although people are very used to having the Grinch, that sometimes they can't accept what I have to say, because they dismiss it, or they don't believe it, or they think I'm just trying to be nice to them. When in essence, it's really, how our soul views us, and how our soul wants us to see ourselves in our lives. So, in this time of the hustle and bustle and the Christmas season, it can be one of a lot of fun and happiness, and hanging out with people that you love, and getting to spend more time with your family, and surprising them with gifts that maybe they really want. It could be a really, really fun time. Or it can be a very inner pain time for people, like a lot of inner pain. People that maybe don't have families or don't have that much money. For them, there's a lot of inner pain, because there's a lot of pressure to be a certain way around the holidays, to do certain things, to be a certain way. And if that's not happening in your life, somehow you feel less than. So our soul energy wants to reach out to people so that they can connect to that energy, so that they can feel the oneness of who they are, and that you're enough no matter what's happening in your life, no matter what your life circumstances are, no matter how much you have, no matter what you look like, that you are so, so loved, and you're so full of abundance, and you have so much, if you could stay in that perspective about yourself. and you don't want this perspective to kind of, in a way, get more things. You want this perspective so that you can rest in the life that you've already created, and that you can move into things that really matter to you. Like, what really matters to you, and what do you really love to do? What inspires you? What would you do if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, and you were all set and everybody was happy and you had nothing to worry about? What would you pick to do? Would you write a book? Would you draw? Would you go for a walk? That's what our soul is always encouraging us to do, is to stop waiting until we get to a certain point in our lives to do the things that we love to do. Because when we do the things that we love to do, again, naturally, that's another way we get into our soul energy. But when we're, very mad at ourselves and very Grinch-like with ourselves, the last thing that we're going to feel is the soul energy. We just can't reach it. We're so far from it. And, with my clients, a lot of them just won't hear it. And anytime I have anything to say good about them, or if I try to suggest sometimes that it's really coming from their thinking and their thinking is off, they get mad at me. They can get mad at me. So that's when my soul reminds me that sometimes you just have to accept where people are, and it's okay. And at some point that they might decide to choose something different for themselves. And that happens to a lot of us. That happened to me. I had to get to a point where I was so sick of beating myself up, and so sick of criticizing myself, and so sick of having the mindset that I had towards myself. That's when, my soul energy broke through to me, so to speak. And I had that amazing experience. And I wish nothing but more. I wish that for you too. But you don't have to have such a kind of breakdown, in a sense. You can just connect to your soul energy just through doing some of these things. And a wonderful book to get you into the soul energy, which I would highly recommend, is called The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. She's the same author that wrote The Secret. And this book is all about gratitude. And every day she gives you a different exercise to do. And, maybe I'll take it out and start doing it. Maybe we could do it together. It's such an awesome book. If you'd like to do it with me, leave a comment or email me at janismart40@yahoo.com. And we can start doing the exercises together, because there's nothing like that book to remind us of who we truly are and how we could truly be feeling under any circumstance. So when I was asking my soul about gratitude and how hard sometimes it is to be grateful for some people, my soul kind of said to me, you want to learn to be grateful, not for the things that you have or the things that surround you or the things that you're doing. You want to be grateful for just you, for the being of you. And that's a little advanced, I would have to say, because usually when we're grateful for things, it's I'm grateful for this because it's hard to just sit with yourself and say, okay, I'm going to be grateful for my existence. And that doesn't have to do with our body. That has to do with the essence of who we are. And the essence of who we are is love. And we each are a candle. We each hold our own candle of love. And, together we ignite this huge flame. So if you could just visualize that, I'm grateful to be one candle that, when joined with others, we really create such a huge difference. And, those are the images and those are the thoughts that the soul will give us. The soul will never criticize you and never say that you're doing anything wrong. The only thing that the soul will say is you've just, you're off track. You're mistaken about yourself, or, you are not upset for the reason you think. And I love that that thought and that line, and that actually comes from A Course in Miracles, which is, I think, another lovely book, and I call it the Book of Love, because that's really what it is. Written by a psychologist, channeled by a psychologist, when she felt like, people are really missing the mark in their lives. They're really unhappy. So she probably felt a similar way to how I was feeling, that I wasn't really helping people. And she channeled this amazing, beautiful, beautiful book. It is not the easiest book to read, but the workbook, if you just want to do the workbook lessons, are fairly simple. It does have a lot of Catholic language, and I was raised Catholic, but I'm not a practicing Catholic. I don't really believe in a lot of formal religion. I mean, I think that if you do, that's great. For me, I've kind of moved away from any formal type of religion. I just kind of connect to my soul and feel what I feel. But one of the exercises in the workbook in A Course in Miracles was, you are never upset for the reason you think. And that is so, so true. So when we get triggered in our lives, usually it's 75% our past and maybe 25% of what is currently happening. So if we're never really upset for the reason we think, then that gives us a little bit of room to question it and to explore it, and then to finally let it go. Our soul really understands our triggers and where they came from. Our soul understands that the triggers that we feel are based on our life experiences and our perceptions, but that most of the time that our life experiences and our perceptions are off. They're off because the way people have treated us have been a little bit off because they're in their ego, and our perceptions of why they've treated us the way that we have been treated is a little off, because we tend to take things extremely personally. And sometimes people are really targeting us, and sometimes people aren't. They're just having a bad day. So A Course in Miracles will always say that people are never upset for the reason they think. They're always taking things out. It's always a projection of what's going on inside of them, which I really agree. If you are feeling nothing but love inside of you, what are you going to project onto other people? How are you going to be with other people? If your inner state is negative and harsh, how are you going to be with other people? If you're constantly ripping yourself apart, when you look at another person and if they slightly resemble you, how do you think you're going to be with them? So the Course in Miracles really is another tug to be in your soul energy and to ask to see a different way. And what they do is they use the Holy Spirit. They'll say, if you're struggling and if you're mad or you get triggered, ask the Holy Spirit to help you see it a different way. And that really is an amazing thing to do. And it does really, really work, because it interferes with your thinking again. It puts like a little disruptor into your thinking. So, if you don't resonate with the Holy Spirit, if you don't resonate with the Catholic terminology, don't let that stop you from doing the course, and don't let that stop you from reading the book. But you can substitute it with what you like. I would substitute that now with more of my soul or angelic energy, and I would say, okay, I'm really upset and this is getting the best of me. So, my soul, or, however I want to say it, can you please help me to see this differently? And it could just be a saying like that. Can you please help me to see this differently? And when you do, your soul energy will give you another thought about it, and will help you to see what's really going on. Will help you to bring you to a point where you realize that this has nothing to do with you. If somebody has said something to you to upset you or trigger you, that this doesn't really have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with them. People that are loving and kind generally are a little bit better with themselves inside. And if they're not, if they're mean to themselves inside, they just don't want to do what they do to themselves to other people. And so they've kind of learned half the battle. So half the battle is they don't take it out on people, but they still take it out on themselves. So not taking it out on people is good, because then you feel less guilty. When we kind of trigger and start yelling at another person or being mean to another person, afterwards, when we calm down, we feel very, very guilty. So if you have that under control, a lot of people will be very, very mean to themselves, but they treat other people beautifully. And so that's half the battle. But if you treat yourself horribly and you treat other people, that's like a double whammy. And there are times when we do both. And again, the soul has no judgment for that. The soul knows that the way that this world was set up and what's happened in this world and what we value has caused all of us to really be very, very evaluative and critical with ourselves. So getting back into gratitude and getting back into doing things that are going to bring us into a different place really helps. So if our definition of success becomes, how kind have I been to me? Have I been able to do a gratitude journal? Have I been able to ask to see things a different way? Have I been able to cut myself some slack? That really comes from your soul. And the more you do that, the better you feel. And then the better you feel, the more things you will allow yourself to do in your life. So when you feel better, you have the energy, you have the motivation, and you have the confidence to move ahead to do something that you might really, really enjoy. Like I really love to teach. So my soul has given me the confidence and has given me the knowledge and has given me kind of the go-ahead to do that. But that would never happen if I was criticizing myself, because then, I'm not perfect enough, or I don't have enough to say. I would be so much in that I would never get out the door. And so that's the difference in our lives. Like our soul really gives us freedom to be who we truly, truly are, because that's what our soul is all about, is our happiness. And no matter what we're doing, it's never, never bad. Our soul never views what we're doing bad. Even if we've mistaken a situation, lost our minds, and had a big fight with a family member, or, we're just not doing well, our soul will just say, you just made a mistake. That's all. You just made a mistake. It's okay. If you were in this energy, if you were connected more to your soul and your spirit, that would have never happened. And so come back into that, so that happens less and less, and you choose to be with the angel of Christmas rather than the Grinch, so that you feel the tug, that you don't ignore the tug. You don't ignore the tug of what I'm talking about, that you remember to ask and to bring that more into your life. So try your this is a beautiful season to try a gratitude journal. And I know it sounds, like, oh yeah, this is gratitude journal again. But it is a really, really worthwhile thing to do. And if you really feel like there isn't anything that you feel you're grateful for, then remember that's the time to ask, to be put into this soul energy, so that you can feel the natural gratitude. In a lot of ways, we don't really need to do a gratitude journal, and we don't really need to do affirmations. We don't need to, listen to spiritual mentors. We don't need to do any of that if we just would connect into our soul energy. But for most of us, including myself, this is so foreign that we do need a little help to go into that energy. We're so far away from the soul energy that we need these steps to get ourselves in there more and more and more. So a gratitude journal, doing the book, The Magic, doing A Course in Miracles, doing the workbook, all of those things are steps towards your soul energy. And that will get you there. And that will get you to feel this difference between the angel and the Grinch inside of you. Just imagine how it would feel to have this loving angel, your guardian angel, with you all day, telling you nothing but great things about you and complimenting you and saying, oh, good job you did today. And, you're really a great person, and do something that you love today. Read that book, or go hang out with that person person that makes you laugh, or just meditate, whatever it is that you want to do. The angel, your guardian angel that sits next to you, is in favor of doing what inspires you, what you love to do, because in that energy, you're going to feel who you really are, in the energy of criticism and in the energy of do, that you have your to-do list, and if you don't do it, you hate yourself, or you have a menu of what you're going to eat today, and if you don't eat it, you're going to hate yourself, or you have an amount of money that you have to make today, and if you don't make it, you're going to hate yourself. I mean, when we set up our life with those kind of expectations, we hurt ourselves, we injure ourselves, and it doesn't have to be that way. So make it your goal today to feel this loving angel next to your side, and make it your goal today, how kind can I be to myself today? How kind and how good can I be to myself? And how good can I get my inner state today? How relaxed can I feel? How happy can I feel? And not make it contingent on anything, just to experience that, and then to experience your soul energy as you do that. It's an easy way to experience it. And the other energy, in that Grinch-like energy, we can't feel it. It's just not going to happen. So those are just some suggestions today, and working with gratitude, and how and why sometimes it's difficult for people to start a gratitude journal, and it's understandable. And again, your soul would never judge you for that. So wherever you are, just envision your beautiful guardian angel next to you, telling you nothing but wonderful things about you all day long today. And the minute the Grinch starts talking, look over to the angel and just get the other perspective. You deserve to have that other perspective, especially in this crazy holiday season where it can be a little bit difficult to have that perspective. And it'll get you through. And you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to do the things you love to do. And the people in your life deserve to have the real you, the you that really shows up. So give all that a shot. If you have any questions, again, like I said, you can email me. I do have my beginner mediumship course online if anybody's interested in that. I love teaching mediumship. That is one of the gifts that I have gotten from connecting to my soul energy, and it's one of my passions. I would say teaching is my first passion, and mediumship is very close to the teaching. So I just find that mediumship is so magical and so fun, and I love connecting to people that have passed on. It helps me to realize that we are eternal, and it's such a comfort to me as I give messages for other people. So if you would like to learn how to do that for yourself, come and join us. I do believe that if you have an interest or there's a desire to become a medium, then you have the ability. We all have gifts, so it's just if it's something that resonates with you. So have a wonderful and beautiful holiday season, and we'll talk after and see how you're doing. Okay? Have a great day. Bye-bye.